Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of the live chat. I think we're up. I think we're good. I think we're rocking. Really quick off of the top, I am going to be looking down at my phone probably quite a bit during today's episode. It's really annoying. I apologize in advance, but something is going on with YouTube. So it's not showing me my chat. So I'm going to actually have to pull up the video on my phone so I can see y'all's questions in chat. I am sorry. I super apologize for that. I'm going to have to look down a bunch today. But yeah, like I said, something weird is going on with YouTube. So I'm going to be looking down at the phone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the live chat. It's so great to see y'all here. Couple housekeeping notes off the top really quick before we start diving into today's topics and questions and all of that goodness. Tomorrow is the PlayStation 5 showcase. I'm sure as many of you, probably all of you know, I am going to be doing a live stream reaction, a companion stream to the showcase, and then right afterwards, as soon as the PlayStation 5 showcase ends, I will be doing a post show over here on the YouTube. So if you want to come over, if you want to watch the conference with me and react with me in real time, you can do that. Or if you want to watch the stream on your own, you don't want to have me talking over the presentation, then of course just come over here right after the stream ends, hop in. It'll be the same stream as the live reaction, and we'll be doing a post-show breakdown about everything we saw and the news and all of that goodness right afterwards. So yeah, that's going to be going on tomorrow. I'm really excited. I think Sony's going to show probably some pretty sweet stuff. I'm sure you all are going to have a bunch of questions about that, so we can get into that on chat. So what are today's topics? What are the big things we can talk about? Well, there's actually several pretty big news stories we can break down, so I won't be surprised at all if we have a ton of questions today. So I'm going to hit as many as possible. First of all, August NPD results are out. I'm going to break those down for you really quick before I jump into your questions about it, but we did get data for August US NPD sales. There's some pretty staggering numbers in there, both in terms of software and in terms of hardware. We saw some really great things in August for the US market, so we can talk about that. Any questions you have around that? There's still some stuff we can catch up on from last week. Last week we got the announcement of the price of the Xbox Series S and X. We got the release date. We found out that EA Play, formerly EA Access, is now coming to Game Pass. So there was a ton of Xbox news last week that we can jump into and reflect on if there's any updated questions on that. There was a new report from Bloomberg that the PlayStation 5 is going to see a reduction of 4 million units from what they were originally wanting to ship. They increased forecast to 15 million, and they've now cut that back to 11 million by the end of March next year. So we can go over what that means for Sony, what does it mean for Microsoft, what does it mean for Xbox, and all of that goodness. So yeah, if you're new here, if you've never been part of the live chat, the way it works is you drop your comments, you drop your questions down into chat. I hit as many as I can, as many as possible. So the free questions, I hit as many as I can. There's also the option to donate in Super Chat. If you donate into Super Chat, that is a way to guarantee that I hit your question no matter what. I hit Super Chats as soon as they pop up. So if you want to 100% make sure I hit your question, that Super Chat option is available. But again, I answer free questions as well. So it's not one of those things that you have to donate or you won't get your question answered. It's just an option for you. All right, everyone, I'm going to start jumping in and breaking down your comments and questions right after I give a really brief August NPD overview. So I'm going to do that very quickly. Don't worry, I'm not going to spend a ton of time here, but for anyone that's watching live that hasn't seen the results or anyone that's coming into the video later, here's your highlights really quick. So the biggest things, first, let's look at hardware. Nintendo Switch just did utterly insane. In fact, it did so big, it set a new August record of all time. That is right. It was the biggest August ever for a piece of hardware. It's bigger August than the Wii. The Wii was the previous record holder back in 2008, and the Nintendo Switch has surpassed that. So staggering results for Nintendo, just completely crushed it. PlayStation 4 did pretty darn solid as well, I gotta say. Pretty good results for PlayStation. Xbox was down quite a bit. They've been down quite a bit the last several months. Big part of that is because the Xbox One X and the Xbox All Digital S have both been discontinued. So those consoles aren't even being manufactured anymore. So that does play a role. I'm not going to say it's everything, but that is one element of why Xbox One sales are down. But yeah, Xbox was down quite a bit. In terms of software, we had several really impressive results. Madden 21 and EA Sports UFC 4. I'll tell you what, if you're EA, you're really happy with August. You're celebrating because Madden 21, you know, even though it's been really kind of torn apart by fans, right? A lot of fans do not like this entry in the franchise. It did have double-digit percentage growth year over year. So Madden 21 doing absolutely fantastic. And also UFC 4 set an all-time record for an EA UFC game. It was the biggest launch ever for a UFC game from EA. So if you're EA, you're celebrating right now. Madden did amazing for you. UFC did amazing for you. That's your number 1 and number 2 game of the month. Ghost of Tsushima showed very good legs, very, very good legs for Ghost of Tsushima. And then a whole bunch of, a whole slew of Nintendo games did absolutely amazing. We saw tons of exclusives in the top 20, which makes sense, right? It makes sense if you're selling as many units as the Switch sold in August, you're going to sell a lot of software alongside of it. So Nintendo had an absolute ton of games in that top 20. I'm going to give your top 10 on the August NPD, and then I'm going to dive into your comments and I'm going to dive into your questions. So we're about to go into that, but I want to just really quick hit the top 10 games in August, and then we're getting to your questions, all right? So number 1, Madden 21. Number 2, UFC 4. Number 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Number 4, Ghost of Tsushima. Number 5, Animal Crossing. Number 6, Ring Fit. Number 7, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Number 8, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. You see what I was talking about with Nintendo, right? Number 9, Paper Mario The Origami King. And number 10, Mortal Kombat 11. That is a whole bunch of Nintendo games there in your top 10. But also really nice to see Ghost of Tsushima up there as well. Like I said, great hold. It looks like it's doing pretty fantastic. All right, everyone, let's get to your comments. Let's get to your questions. We have a couple super chats that have dropped already right off the bat, so thank you so much for the super chats. I'm going to hit those first, and then I'm going to dive into your free questions. All right, Forzathon with the first super chat. What do you think of Jeff Grubb was talking about regarding Microsoft spending a lot of money on something that is not an acquisition, something like EA Game Pass deal? It's a great question, Forzathon. So yes, anyone that didn't see this, Jeff Grubb mentioned on a recent podcast. I think it was his own podcast. Actually, I think it was the Venture Beat, our Games Beat podcast. That he had heard that Microsoft has been spending some serious money on something, and yes, it is not like a studio acquisition. My guess there, Forzathon, would be some sort of Game Pass deal. I had mentioned on a previous live chat that I thought it would be, because Microsoft doesn't have a ton of games ready for launch of the Xbox Series X and S, right? We talked about this in terms of first party. Microsoft has a whole bunch of games that I think are going to be pretty great, but they're quite a ways off, right? Stuff like Everwild, stuff like Forza Motorsport, Fable, Avowed. They announced a whole bunch of games that look cool, but a lot of those appear, at least, from what we've seen so far, that those are probably pretty far away. So I think my guess is this is some kind of major Game Pass third-party deal. Now, again, I have no inside information on this. This is just me reacting to the news, but I would say yes. I would say that would be my guess. Some sort of major deal. Who knows? Maybe it's fully exclusive. Maybe it's not just for Game Pass. Maybe it's a game that is going to be a third-party exclusive and is going to launch day one on Game Pass. Something like that I could see. That would be my guess, Forzathon. Yes, that would be my guess. And then we have a second super chat here from Franklin Clinton 98. Thank you so much, Franklin. Off topic, but what is going to happen to PS4 after next gen releases? This is a great question, Franklin. Will it still sold? And with Series S being $299, do you now believe in a $200 PS4? Great question, Franklin. You know, we're all so focused on next gen, which makes sense, right? It's the big, new, exciting thing right around the corner. Of course, PlayStation 4 is not going to just instantly stop selling, especially with that gigantic library it has built up. So, Franklin, my guess, even after PS5 launches, I think you're going to see a lot of PS4 sold. Yes, a lot. Now, you know, how many years that keeps getting supported, who knows? I would say I think you're going to still see some big games on PS4 for at least another, you know, all the way through 2021 for sure. You're going to see the sports games. You're going to see Call of Duty, right? These games are going to be cross-gen because the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One combined have such a huge install base, right? If you're making a sports game or a Call of Duty game, you're not going to just instantly drop that. So you are going to still see support. Maybe not so much from Sony themselves, but from third parties. So yeah, I would expect through 2021 to still see PlayStation 4 selling pretty darn well. I think once we hit 2022 though, Franklin, that very few games are going to be cross-gen. I think once you get into 2022, probably still a couple of the sports games, stuff like FIFA I could still see. But outside of that, I think you're going to see very, very few cross-gen games once we get in 2022. So you'll probably see PlayStation 4 slow down a lot that year. But Franklin, I think you'll still see strong sales next year for PlayStation 4. No doubt they're going to be down, right? It's not going to be the kind of numbers we have been seeing, but I think they still have at least, at minimum, another really solid year of PlayStation 4 sales ahead of them. In regards to the $200 PS4, yeah, I could see it, especially now that we're going to have a $299 Series S on the market. All right. Thank you for those super chats. I'm going to get up into the free questions now. Thank you so much, everyone. This is a fun one really quick. Let me hit a fun question, and then we'll go back to video games. Elias Stapleton had the very first question here. MCU question. The Avengers made a dirty trick versus Thanos. Thanos won without time traveling, but Avengers won with time travel. Was it fair? And what do you think of Khan, the next Thanos-sized foe? Fun question. Don't worry, everyone who's here for video game talk. I'll get to it really quick. Yeah, it was a little dirty, right? I'll be honest. I really liked Endgame. I thought it was a good movie. I think I liked Infinity War more. And again, I won't drop any spoilers here. I'm sure everyone has probably seen it by now. But what I will say is I don't know. I wish Thanos wasn't out of the picture completely. I would love to see Thanos still in the MCU. You know, I get the way they ended it, but yeah, it was a little, you know, it was a little dirty. But Thanos used some tricks himself, right? You know, he was using the Infinity Stone, so he was playing his own tricks. I don't think you can knock the Avengers too hard. And in regards to Khan, yeah, that's going to be sweet. I'm really excited for that. Whether he's going to be the next Thanos-sized foe, I don't know. But definitely Marvel is going to build him up into a very big enemy, right? He's typically an Avengers-level threat. So, yeah, I think so. All right, we had a super chat here from Timur. Let me hit that super chat really quick. Hi, Benji. What major developer / publisher do you think will be acquired in the future? Plus, do you think Minecraft 2 / Duke Nukem Forever 2 will be a thing? All right, so a couple part question here. Thanks for the super chat, Timur. As always, you're always so kind here with the super chats. Everyone follow Timur if you don't, if you like to get some really interesting video game sales and especially budget news. Timur does a great job of pulling up budgets for video games. It's not something that's easy to find, so respect to Timur for all that that you do there, digging up that information. It's really valuable stuff. In terms of what developer publisher do you think will be acquired in the future, you know, it's a bit of a tough question because some of the more I don't want to say like obvious, but some of the ones that fit into that price range that seems not going to be a crazy price but still worth it have been picked up, right? Companies like Ninja Theory, like Insomniac, like Playground, these are studios that have good pedigrees. They got some really good staff in them, but they also weren't a break the bank level acquisition, right? If you go out and you try and buy someone like a recent rumor was Bungie, that's going to cost you a fortune. Bungie is gigantic. They're like over 500 developers. They are huge. So someone like that is going to be an enormous price tag. That doesn't mean they can't be acquired, but it's going to cost you a lot. So a lot of those level of teams have kind of, the mid-tier size, I would say, have been acquired. You brought up a great point last time, Timmer. Someone like Crytek, I think, is a prime example of an acquisition that would be good. I think Bloober Team, who is actually rumored to be, or they've actually themselves even kind of said that they're looking at an acquisition deal. Someone like Bloober Team fits that. Crytek fits that. Bluepoint Games for Sony really fits that. So I would say some of those are a few off the top of my head. Those three I could see really very likely happening someday to someone. I think some of these big publisher rumors you hear about, EA is going to get bought, Capcom's going to get bought. That seems completely unrealistic to me because the price tag is just insane for something like that. But yeah, there's definitely still some mid-tier size studios out there to be acquired. And in regards to, do I think Minecraft 2 / Duke Nukem Forever 2 will be a thing? Minecraft I could actually kind of see. I don't know that for sure. They always do so many updates to it, constantly. They're constantly updating it. I wouldn't say Minecraft 2 is a likely scenario by any means, but I would say I could see a theoretical possibility of that, especially if they kind of just wrap everything that they have into it into a new engine. You saw Fortnite kind of do this, right? Where it's not a true sequel or anything. They just basically completely revamped the game and then labeled it Fortnite 2. I could see something like that with Minecraft. Duke Nukem Forever 2, no. I can't ever see Duke Nukem Forever happening. But maybe another Duke Nukem game. Yeah, I could see that. All right. Let me hit a couple free questions really quick now that those super chats are cleared. Killian Butler. Hey, Benji. Hope you're doing okay. Doing great. Hope you're doing well. I was curious to know if you see VR as the future of gaming or just another form of it. Is there any sales data to suggest VR might increase in popularity or die out? Yes, Killian. Great question. I see VR as additive to the market. I don't see it as the future of gaming in terms of like an all becoming thing. When VR first came out, I think a lot of people got very excited on like the business side, saw this as revolutionary. Wow, we're all going to switch to VR headsets. This is the only way we're going to play games. And we never saw in these early years anything like that happen. There's a lot of reasons for that, right? A, VR is super expensive. B, you do have to strap something onto your head. I love VR, but some people, they just want to come home, they want to sit down on the couch, they want to relax, right? VR is a very intense experience in a lot of ways. And, traditional gaming on a TV screen, while it can be intense, is a little more relaxed, I would say, than most VR games. So yeah, I don't see it as being the future of gaming, but I do see it as a very real thing that is finding success. Now, I can't go into NDA news or, NDA information on here, but what I can say is Oculus over the last 12 months has seen a kind of explosion in success. Oculus is right now having their best run ever since Oculus came out, and that's really down to the Oculus Quest. And as we've seen, Oculus Quest 2 leaked, and that is about to come out. So yeah, I definitely think that there is data to show that the VR market is increasing, and I think it's going to get a lot bigger over the next 5 to 10 years. But I would not say VR is going to become one of those things that's just, no one plays regular games anymore. We just play VR. But thanks for the question. I think we just had 2 super chats drop. Let me hit these. Kelligrim, to piggyback off Timmer's question, do you think we'll see any more developers break away from publishers in the future like Bungie did? Kelligrim, I don't necessarily think so. The Bungie situation was sort of unique. That was actually kind of crazy, and I'll be honest. I bet you now, right now, people at Microsoft really regret that happened. That Bungie is no longer part of Microsoft. I mean, could you imagine if Bungie was a first-party studio for Microsoft? It would be utterly giant. That's still a pretty shocking thing that happened in video games. Kelligrim, I can't see that just because I actually think we're moving in an opposite direction. I think we're moving in a direction right now where the gaming industry is being consolidated. We've already seen this in the movie space and in the television space where a lot of these acquisitions have happened over recent years, right? Disney just bought Fox. There's a ton of examples of that. That's just kind of the way media and the industry's going. People need content. They need really big tentpole releases. And the best way to do that is to acquire as many IPs, as many companies as possible. Because we've moved into a space now where a lot of it's about subscriptions. A lot of it's about, driving people to your platform. So Kelligrim, I can't really see too many people breaking away. In fact, I see the opposite. I think we're just going to see more and more and more acquisitions over the next 10 years. Wild Stallion here with a super chat. Thank you so much, Wild Stallion. Where do you think Mario 3D All-Stars sales will be on 9/18? And March 2021. So what do I think basically Mario 3D All-Stars is going to sell? Wild Stallion, this is a little bit tough because it all comes down to shipment, right? It all comes down to what Nintendo's going to ship. They're doing this really weird staggered release, or not staggered, I should say limited release for Mario 3D All-Stars. Here's what I'll say. It's going to sell millions. I mean millions of units. I see over 10 million units for this game easily. Easily, I think over 10 million. Not even going to be close. So where do I think it's going to, its sales will be? I think it's going to do, I think US NPD. Let's just go NPD for now. I could see easily it doing 1 million units in September as NPD report. Yes, I just said that. I could see it doing 1 million in just its first month in NPD if Nintendo ships enough, right? Like I said, that's the real question here. How limited is this physical release going to be? Of course, it's going to be on sale digitally as well. But that's the number I'll kind of throw out there, Wild Stallion. I think over 1 million in its first NPD if Nintendo ships enough, because keep in mind, Nintendo doesn't report digital to NPD, so they'll need to ship that many units in order for that to happen. And then I think by next March, you're going to see way over 10 million units, personally. Maybe that seems optimistic to some, but I don't think so. I think it'll definitely get over 10 million. All right, I'm going to go back to free questions, everyone. But Killian Butler just dropped a super chat here with a really nice comment. Thank you, Killian, saying, guys, don't forget to leave a like on the stream. Thank you so much. The likes definitely help the channel and help people find it. So if you like doing these live chats, hit that like button. Thank you. Elias Stapleton. Hi, Benji. According to Matt Piscatella, in a month where Switch again broke records, etc., The Last of Us Part 2 is year-to-date number 3 in 2020. Yeah, great results. In sales. Do you think this is another Sony Worldwide Studios 10 million game? Elias, yes. The Last of Us Part 2 is going to sell way over 10 million units. I mean, way over. The question in my mind now is if it's going to catch The Last of Us Part 1. Personal theory here, I don't think so. I believe that Last of Us Part 1 will lifetime sell more units than The Last of Us Part 2. Now, I could be completely wrong here, right? I could be completely off, to be honest with you. The opening, clearly way bigger than The Last of Us Part 1. They're not even close. But I just wonder if it's going to have the insane long legs that Part 1 did, right? You see Part 1 still chart at times in the PlayStation Network top 10 and top 20. And think about how long ago that game came out. Now, The Last of Us Part 2 very well may do that, right? It's definitely possible it does. But I just don't want to commit to that level yet until we're, a year or two down the line. If it's still charting like Part 1, then yeah, I'm going to be all on board. Here we go. It's going to hit 20 million. But for now, I'm going to be a little more conservative on if I think Part 2 catches Part 1 lifetime, but over 10 million for sure, Killian. Oh, for sure, over 10 million. Costas. Predictions for first year sales for Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us 2. Did Ghost of Tsushima have better legs than God of War or Horizon Zero Dawn? Great question, Costas. Here's what we can say without directly comparing it to those games. It's having great legs, very good legs in many, many markets, right? You're seeing it hold very well in the UK. You're seeing it hold very well in the US. You're seeing it in countries like France even. It stayed in the top 5 for quite a while. You're seeing great legs in Japan. That's one thing that really is setting Ghost of Tsushima apart in Japan compared to some other games from Sony, is that it's like doing amazing in Japan. So what do I think, first year sales are going to be? Oh man, that's a great question, because we're going to be looking until next summer. Here's what I'll say. I definitely think it's going to get to over 10 million lifetime. Whether it's going to hit that by next summer or not, I'm not quite sure. We saw Spider-Man, for example, do over 13 million by its first August. So it wasn't even quite a year old, and it was over 13 million. It's definitely not going to do Spider-Man type numbers. 10 million in its first year. I think that's not necessarily impossible, but it might be a tad high. I'll say anywhere between 8 to 10 million in its first year. That's going to be my guess here. 8 to 10 million in that first year. 10's the high end for me. I'd be surprised if it sold less than 8 million. I think it's definitely going to hit that. So 8 to 10 million in its first year would be my guess. Mr. Tarantino saying the specs are out for Watch Dogs Legion. Yes, I saw that. It looks like it's kind of a beast to run on PC, and that you can run it very high. That's awesome. Great to hear. Great to hear. All right, here we go. Here's a PlayStation Showcase question, right? I figured we would probably get a bunch of these. I'm excited to see what Sony shows tomorrow. From Costas, or Costas. Do you think Sony will have a major announcement to make in the event? Let's say God of War 5. Costas, yes, I am expecting something big. Now, what that's going to be, that's a great question. Could it be God of War? Again, y'all, anything I speculate on here, unless I specifically say that this is coming from an inside source, again, this is me speculating. God of War 5, I don't think so. I think they're going to hold the God of War announcement. So I'm going to guess no, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was there. That game's got to be getting announced sometime in the next year, I would think, right? Because the last God of War came out in 2018. So next year, let's say they announce it next year, you're 3 years out there. You're 3 years past God of War. You can develop a lot in 3 years. They theoretically could announce it this year, but I'm going to guess, Costas, that that's a 2021 announcement. So I'm going to say no for that, but I do think they're going to announce something big. I'm not 100% sure what, but I feel like now would be a great time to unleash something big. I think we're, definitely going to see a ton of gameplay updates on stuff like Spider-Man and things like that. But I do think they'll have one real big trick up their sleeve, because think about it. We're about to hit launch, right? We're super close now. We're 2 months out. We're 2 months from the PlayStation 5 launch. So what better way to ramp up some excitement? Yes, I'm guessing whatever they're going to announce, like a new announcement, is going to be a bit off. I don't think it's going to be something like we've never seen before that's coming at launch. I think they're going to announce something that's quite a ways away, but something that will really excite people. Yes, I do think that's going to happen. Elias saying deja vu. Next year, 100% game of the year contenders again will be Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 and Horizon 2. Thoughts? Yeah, that's actually a great point, right? Because Breath of the Wild and Horizon 1 came out in the same year. So they were right side by side competing with each other for many people's game of the year. And now, yeah, that's a great point, Elias. Next year, we know Horizon currently is scheduled for 2021. Nintendo hasn't announced that Breath of the Wild 2 is coming next year, but I think we all assume it's going to be. So, yeah, that's a great point, Elias. Yep, it looks like those two are going to be competing again for people's game of the year. We just had a super chat drop. Let me hit that really quick. Kelligrim with another super chat. Thank you so much, Kelligrim. Thank you so much. You're always super generous with these. It's insane. Thank you so much. I heard the top 100 played PS4 games will get backwards compatibility on PlayStation 5. Do you think they'll announce this list? I've put so much time into Monster Hunter. Would hate to not get it on PlayStation 5. So yeah, we don't know the exact details about all of how PlayStation 5 backwards compatibility is going to work. Now, it could be a lot more than 100 kilogram. I believe basically what they said is like at minimum they're going to have, right off the bat, the top 100 playable. It could be way more, right? Could be 200 games playable. We don't really know. It's just that was, I think, the only thing they were like super committing to whenever they first started talking about backwards compatibility. So you're definitely going to see, I would expect stuff like Monster Hunter to be in there for sure. You're going to see like the Call of Duty games. You're going to see I think basically all of Sony first party, so the Horizons, the God of Wars, the Spider-Mans, etc., etc. You're going to see a lot. Now, the exact list, that's a great question. Here's what I'll say. If it's going to be basically the vast majority of PlayStation 4 games, you might not get an exact list. They might just say, hey, here is, the few games that don't work on it. But if it is only around like 100 or so at launch, then yeah, you'll probably get an exact list of what all is supported. But yeah. Assault's here saying they said top 1,000. I didn't know it was top 1,000. I thought they said top 100 like would for sure work, and then potentially way more than that. So I think most stuff's going to be honest. I think the vast majority of games backwards compatible will be fine. There just might be a few exceptions out there. Whoa, Franklin Clinton with a big super chat. Thank you, Franklin. Very big super chat. That is extremely kind of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Franklin Clinton 98. What kind of lifetime sales do you think can be expected from a niche game, quote, quote, like Demon's Souls? 2 to 5 million or 5 to 10 million? I feel like the PlayStation fan base, even those that don't usually play Souls, might be tempted because of the Sony brand. Franklin, yeah, I'm expecting to see Demon's Souls sell really well. So you're right in that the original Demon's Souls is fairly niche. Now, we've seen the Souls games become much bigger, right? If you look at Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 and even Dark Souls 1 sales, those games have sold really well, right? The Dark Souls franchise in particular has had huge growth. If you look at Sekiro, that's not a Souls game, but it is in that vein. That game has sold over 5 million. So you're seeing those types of games get a lot bigger. But yes, you are correct in that the original Demon's Souls back on PS3, it was a pretty niche game. It wasn't until Dark Souls that they really broke out, from software with these types of games. But I do think you're going to see Demon's Souls sell really strong. I agree with you. I think a lot of people that aren't traditionally Souls people will probably pick this up because it's going to be an early PlayStation 5 exclusive. In terms of like an exact range, I think it's going to be over 5 million, as long as it's good. It needs to be good to make that clear. But it coming out early in the PlayStation 5 life cycle, that means it's going to have years and years and years to sell. It's not really going to have much competition in that Souls space right now, right? There's not a new Dark Souls game right around the corner. There's not a Sekiro sequel from what we've seen soon. I'm sure it's going to come. We have something like Elden Ring, but that's not a Souls game. Elden Ring, it sounds like, is going to be quite a bit different than a traditional Souls title. So people that have that itch, right, they want to play those Souls type games. Yeah, I think Demon Souls will do really, really good. I could see over 5 million. 10 million is pretty steep. Once you hit 10 million, you're talking major exclusive here. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I think over 5 is a safe bet. And when I say over 5, it could be 6, 7, who knows. I just think 10 million might be tough, but over 5, yeah. All right, one more super chat here to clear. Thank you so much, everyone. And then we're back to your free questions. JCat saying, hello, sorry I'm late. I had an online class. No problem at all, JCat. It's just great to see you here. JCat, always so supportive. Thank you so much, JCat. Been here from pretty much the beginning. All right, let's go back to some of your free questions. For anyone that's late to the chat, sorry I keep looking down. I mentioned it earlier. I'm having to use my phone to read chat because YouTube's messed up. YouTube's not showing me my chat. All right, Ken B here with a question. With the Series S coming in at $299, does that affect how Nintendo prices the Pro/4K Switch rumored next year? Ooh, this is a good question. They can't make it more than $299 now, can they? Can be. I think it's gonna be. Now this is just my guess, but if this Switch Pro rumor is true, and Bloomberg, for anyone that missed it, in that article where they mentioned the PlayStation 5 reduction in production units, they specifically mentioned that Switch again. So Bloomberg is like tripling down that this Switch revision, whatever it ends up being, is a very real thing coming next year. I'm inclined to believe it's true because you have a publication as big as Bloomberg. I mean, Bloomberg is considered a very, very, major source. To triple down on that sort of thing, you must be very confident it's real, right? It would be a very not great look for Bloomberg if you repeated this many times and it's not real. So I'm just going and assuming this Switch 4K, whatever it is a real item. I think it is gonna be $399. I think so. And here's kind of why. Yes, the Series S is coming in at $299, which is very surprising, right? I mean, I kind of predicted that. Other people did too. I'm not going to say it was just me. But what I mean is you don't typically have a console that cheap on day one when a next gen starts, at least in recent generations, right? For example, if you look at the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, there was nothing on the market that cheap, right? Switch came in at that price, but I mean, for Xbox and PlayStation, they have not been playing that game. So it's a very big move. But I think kind of part of the purpose of the Switch Pro is to keep Switch sales healthy, which they're insane right now. So that purpose isn't, maybe when Nintendo first started prototyping this, they thought sales might be dying down at this point just a little bit. That's not happening at all, but a ton of R&D has already gone into it. I'm sure it's partially to try to help developers that are third party make their games work with the Switch. I'm sure there's an element of that to it. I just think it's going to be more expensive because they have that $299 standard Switch. They have that $199 Lite, and then they could come in at $399 and really cover all the pricing bases, right? You got that really cheap entry model at $200. You got your standard regular at $300, and then you got a better, best version at $400. I think that would work for them. So that's my guess there, can be. Jack Sizemore, fun fact, even though Halo Infinite is being delayed, we're still getting a Bungie game at launch since the original Xbox with Destiny 2 Beyond Light expansion. Yes, that is cool. That's very cool. Game Pass is about to get Destiny 2 included with Game Pass. Beyond Light is going to launch right with next gen. So that is a great point there, Jack Sizemore. It might not be a brand new Bungie game, but we are going to get some Bungie goodness right at launch. It's very cool. All right, let me, I think a super chat dropped. Let me hit that super chat really quick. Benji with the super chat. Thanks so much, Benji. Another OG of the Benji-Sales live chat. Always here, always supportive. Thank you so much, Benji. Hi, Benji. What is the ceiling for the Switch? Great question. Crazy August numbers, 3D Mario Collection, Switch Pro incoming, 30 million production, etc. Great question, Benji. So, I was just talking to a couple of my sales buddies, and we were kind of discussing this. We were kind of crunching the math. We were trying to figure out, with production, where things are going to land, what we're thinking. It was a couple people, that I really respect that are really great with sales data. And one thing we kind of came to is there's a very real chance. Now, this isn't locked, but there's a very real chance that Switch, is going to pass 100 million units by the end of next year. Let me do the math for you on how that is possible, because I know that sounds like a huge number. How are they going to hit 100 million units by the end of next year? All right, let me break it down. So right now, they were already over 61 million units shipped as of this, like summer. They're going to have the whole holiday period ahead of them. Probably going to have some insane holiday sales considering the sales we've seen all year. Record breaker, almost every single month, right? So there's a very real chance by the end of this year, they're close to 80 million units shipped. Now, they might not be exactly there. They might be a tad under that, but they're probably going to be pretty close to 80 million. Thinking that they'll do 20 million then next year is not a reach at all. Not a reach at all that they could hit 20, 21, 22 million. So we could potentially see the Switch at 100 million units by the end of 2021. I'm telling y'all, that's a very realistic scenario. And if they miss that, it will be close. It'll probably be by the end of that fiscal year in March. So, where it's going to end up, like the actual peak, the end of lifetime sales, hard to say, but 100 million is going to be blown past. I mean, blown past. Like I said, they could be there by the end of next year. The next question you go to is, do they do over 120 million? Do we hit that 130 million range? Not impossible, but, I hope that gives you a little bit of interesting analysis there on what we're looking at. We're looking at a potential 100 million units for Switch by the end of 2021. Thanks, everyone. I think this is the biggest live chat ever. We're up in the 160s. I don't think we've ever been there. Thank you so much, everyone. I know there's an Apple event going on right now, too. So to see over 160 people in chat, it's amazing. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Biggest live chat, I think, ever. Killian Butler with a super chat. And I've been saying that a lot lately, which is humbling. Thank you, people. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone watching. I've been saying that. I feel like every couple chats now we hit new records. Killian Butler with a super chat. Corey Barlog has been tweeting weird stuff since the PS5 event was announced. I can't tell if he's teasing a God of War teaser or just trolling people. First of all, I want to say, I doubt Corey would ever see this, but in the very slim chance Corey ever watches anything I ever do, I just want to give my heartfelt, my heart is with Corey. His father right now is battling COVID. It sounds like it's been pretty rough for him. His dad's been in the ICU. So, if anyone follows Corey on Twitter, make sure you send Corey your love. Make sure you send Corey your support. Sounds like his dad, is going through a very rough time with COVID. He's been in the ICU for quite a bit now. So thoughts are with you, Corey. And I know the entire PlayStation community and gaming community in general is with you and your family. In regards to is he trolling or not? Again, I just don't think God of War is going to be there. I could be totally wrong on this, right? That is a huge ace up Sony's sleeve, right? God of War was pretty much the consensus 2018 game of the year. It was basically that and Red Dead Redemption 2, which when you're competing with Rockstar, it's an amazing place to be, right? So, I mean, it's a beloved game. The sequel, I think, has potential to be even better, right? The last God of War was mind-blowing, but what they've set up for the next one, won't go into spoilers here in case someone hasn't played God of War, but let's just say the next game is set up to be truly epic. And this last one was epic, but the next one, my goodness, it sounds incredible. So whenever they do drop that announcement, I think it's going to be insane. Could they drop it here? Yes, but I just don't think so. Like I mentioned, I think this is a 2021 announcement, but I'd love to be wrong. The sooner I see that game, the better. Kellegrim with another super chat. Thank you so much, Kellegrim. I think that's like your second $10 super chat. That's insane. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone who does these super chats. It's really helping, let me tell you. It's helping a lot. Like I said, I'm a retail employee, which is great. I love it. I'm not bashing being a retail employee. What I mean is this right here, this is how I get support for the things I do for covering video games. So thank you sincerely from my heart, every person that donates in Super Chat. It's amazing. Thank you, Kellegrim, so much. It really supports, what I'm doing. Saying this channel needs a gif of Vegeta with a scouter for every time you say over and a number. Yes, that I do. The live chat keeps growing. We keep setting new records over here. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. It's awesome to see the record just keep getting broken over here. And let me tell you, I could not get here without the questions y'all asked. Y'all asked great questions. So the channel would not have the growth it does without y'all. Split at 89, best moderator in the business with a question. Think Sony has any surprises, or will it be normal business with price and date? Like I mentioned, I definitely think some surprises. Yes, I think price will be there. Yes, I think date will be there. They basically have to be. And the main reason for that is because of the pre-order date for the Xbox. Theoretically, Sony could push it back even later if that information wasn't out there. But I think the fact that there's a hard date now on when their competitor starts pre-orders, and it's very soon, it's a week away, they have to do price. They have to do release date. They basically have to. Your competition's going to be ramping up those pre-orders, so you need that out there. Okay. So here's a great comment from Forzathon, and I've been wanting to go over this. I'm sure some of y'all have been waiting about the PlayStation 5 production. There's a two-part here. So Forzathon says, I think people are getting worked up over nothing regarding PS5 units. 11 million units is still a lot. It is, Forzathon, but let's go into this a little bit. So actually, one thing that is being misunderstood is people are comparing the PlayStation 4's units and the PlayStation 5. And they're saying 11 million units is still way over PlayStation. The number you're seeing it thrown around a lot out there is like the 7.5 million number. But that is not a full picture of actually what is happening. Actually, PlayStation 5 shipments are going to be very close to what PlayStation 4 did. So let me break you down exactly how that works out. So first, I'm going to read the report from Bloomberg, okay? Let's get to that first. And I agree with you, Forzathon, that no one should panic. No one should be freaking out. No one should be having a meltdown over this. But there's a two-parter here. So first, let's read the report from Bloomberg. So this is from Bloomberg right here. Sony Corporation has cut its estimated PlayStation 5 production for the fiscal year by 4 million units, down to around 11 million following production issues with its custom-designed system on chip for the new console, according to people familiar with the matter. Now, a couple things here that are really important, and then we're going to break down another part. The Tokyo-based electronics giant in July, so just recently, boosted orders with suppliers in anticipation of heightened demand for gaming in the holiday season beyond as people spend more time at home due to, the pandemic. So basically we learned there that there was numbers that have been getting thrown around. There was the 10 million, there was, whatever. And then Sony saw how insane sales have been this year in general. And they just in July, so just over the summer, wanted to get up to 15 million, which is huge. If they hit 15 million by the end of March in production, that would be a pretty darn staggering number. But they had to forecast that down to 11 million. Now, 11 million is still a lot. It's still actually a ton, right? But let's hit the second part here about what I mean when actually it's much closer to PlayStation 4 than what people are thinking. So Daniel Ahmed here, a analyst for Nico Partners, one of the best in the business, with a tweet. So I want to read this out really quick. I keep seeing this, but it's comparing apples to oranges. These articles are always talking about production shipments, not retail shipments or sell-through. PS4 retail shipments were 7.5 million by the end of March, but production would have been near 10 million. So it was close to 10 million for the PlayStation 4, and we're looking at 11 million for the PlayStation 5. That's the difference. People keep comparing the retail shipment of PlayStation 4 to the production shipment of PlayStation 5. Different numbers. Okay, so in summary, what does this mean? One, no one panic, okay? This is not end of the world. Sony's doomed. What are we going to do? This is so bad. It's nothing like that. 11 million in production is still a lot of units by the end of March. But what it does mean is this is going to be somewhat closer to PlayStation 4 in shipments than a lot of people are reporting, right? You're looking at probably around 1 million, maybe a little bit more, hitting stores than PlayStation 4 if you look at that PlayStation 4 retail shipment to production shipment number. Now, Sony has mentioned, and as Daniel Ahmed tweeted out, also, a second shout out here to Daniel, is that Sony is going to be air shipping units and not just doing the sea shipping, which is a lot slower. But the air shipping is a lot faster. So I expect a larger percentage of that 11 million to hit stores faster than what happened with PlayStation 4. I think you are going to see that. But basically what this means, there's a very strong chance you're going to see widespread shortages for PlayStation 5. I fully believe that, especially this holiday. Now, I think things will, improve next year. But here's what I'll tell you. I would make sure you are ready to pre-order. You need to be ready to pre-order when those things go live, because I think in November and December, you're going to have a very real challenge of getting one of these. The shipment to stores isn't probably going to be that much bigger than PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 4 saw some very early shortages in those first couple months. Now, it wasn't like insanely bad like how we saw for Switch, where Switch was supply constrained, for like 6, 7, 8 months. Don't think you're going to necessarily see something like that. But yeah, people need to be ready to pre-order. You need to be ready to pre-order because I definitely think there's going to be shortages. All right. Let me hit some more of these free questions. But I hope that helps. I hope that helps give a little bit of perspective on what's going on here. Oh, wow. My chat, dang, I lost some of y'all's questions. One sec. Sorry. I'm really sorry, everyone. Like I said, this whole YouTube has been a challenge for me today. It's been really messing up my chat. Okay. It looks like it cut off the top part of chat. I am sorry, everyone. People that got in really early questions, I may have to miss some of yours. I'm sorry. YouTube's chat is all messed up for me today. So we have 2 super chats that have dropped in. Let me hit those super chats really quick. Kellegrim with another super chat. My God, Kellegrim, you don't need to drop all these, but I appreciate it. It's so kind. Do you think scalpers are going to be an issue this holiday? Yep. They always are, right? They always are with the new console launch. You're definitely going to see scalpers. I'm not going to say it's one of those things that's going to be like terrible. Like, oh my goodness, the scalpers are making it impossible to get a console. But there's definitely going to be people that are doing that. Yep, there always is with a new console launch. It always happens. I can tell you from working retail for so long, we were seeing scalpers even this summer for the Switch. We were seeing people put in orders for Switch units where one person was trying to buy like 10 Switches whenever they would come into stores because Switch has been supply constrained. So they were trying to buy up Switches and flip them, on places like eBay and Craigslist and all that stuff, for example. So yeah, I definitely think it's going to be, an issue, Kellegrim. It's going to be, I don't think it should make anyone freak out that they're not going to be able to get a console because scalpers will be that bad, but they're going to be out there. Forzathon, did you see, with a super chat, did you see the announcement of the Invincible? It's an Unreal Engine 5 sci-fi thriller from a new studio formed mostly by ex-CD Projekt Red and Techland staff. Xbox, PS5, PC only. I have not seen that, but it sounds right up my alley, Forzathon, so I need to check that out. The Invincible. Sounds sweet. I need to check that out. All right, I'm going to go to some free questions now that the super chats are cleared. I apologize to people way high up in chat that I'm going to miss some of your questions, but my chat literally just cut off a whole chunk of questions. Madi, how many big new games are going to be shown for tomorrow? I'm going to guess just a handful of new games that we've never seen before, right? I expect we will see something, but I don't think that the purpose of this show is going to necessarily be to show tons of new games. I have a feeling it's mostly going to be focused really around solidifying launch, right? So like I said, price, date, pre-orders, probably when those are going to start. I think you're going to see gameplay finally of Spider-Man Miles Morales. I think you're going to see, gameplay for some other things that might be in that launch window. Might see some Demon Souls actual gameplay. So I think that's going to be the bulk of the show, really highlighting, hey, here's the stuff that's hitting right in that launch window, that first, let's say 3 to 6 months-ish. Here's the date, here's the price. I expect you will see, like I said, a couple further off announcements, maybe a handful, but I'd be shocked if you see like 10, 15 new games we've never seen before. That would surprise me. You never know. The show's 40 minutes, which is pretty lengthy. They can show a lot in that time frame. So I could be completely off here with you. Maybe Sony comes out and they show 20 new games. It's entirely possible. But I don't think so. I would guess maybe 5, or so brand new, never before seen things. And then some really big updates for stuff like Spider-Man, Demon Souls, stuff like this. Gran Turismo possibly, things like that. Peter 420. I don't expect God of War 2 reveal for at least another year. That's kind of where I'm leaning to. Next year, I think. Final Fantasy 16 is pretty much a guarantee since it's a 1-year timed exclusive for PlayStation 5. Yes, that is the rumor, is that Final Fantasy 16 is going to be announced here and that it is timed exclusive. Here's what I'll say, Peter. I think a Final Fantasy 16 announcement would be very good for Sony. And there's a big reason for that. So again, I was talking to some of my sales buddies. Let me get a drink really quick on Body Armor Light today. All right. Final Fantasy. Why is Final Fantasy so important? So when you look at what all's been announced for PlayStation 5 right now, there isn't a ton there that's really focused on the Japanese market. There's not a lot there. You have stuff like Gran Turismo, which will do pretty good there. You have stuff like Demon Souls, which will probably do pretty well in Japan. But one thing to remember is that, for example, Bloodborne did good in Japan, but it wasn't huge. Bloodborne sold like 230,000 physical units, somewhere around there, if I'm remembering correct. 230, 250, somewhere in that range. That's how many units it sold physically in Japan. So there's not any real reason to believe that Demon Souls is just going to sell over 1 million units in Japan, for example. But Final Fantasy can. Now, Final Fantasy isn't as big as it once was in Japan, right? It's not as big as it was at its peak, but it's still a game that consistently can sell over 1 million units in Japan. So I feel like a Final Fantasy 16 announcement would be very important for that Japanese market. Sony just doesn't have a ton there right now that's going to be huge in Japan that they've announced. Now, there's a ton of stuff there that's going to be giant in the West, right? A lot. But I do feel like they need a really big announcement that's going to help that Japanese market adopt the PlayStation 5. So I hope that that is true, that Final Fantasy 16 is there, not just for me personally because I love Final Fantasy, but I think it'd be great for the Japanese market. All right. we're going to go for about 10 or 15 more minutes, and then I have to get ready for work. So thanks everyone for a record-setting live chat. I'm still going to hit a lot of questions. We've been in the 160s pretty much this whole time. 150s, 160s. Thank you. That's the biggest live chat of all time. Let me hit these last 10 or 15 minutes of questions. I'm going to get in those, and then I have to go get ready for work. So thank you, everyone. Danger Man saying, big question. Is Horizon Zero Dawn 2 the big 2021 game, or could a God of War come out Q4 2021? Danger Man, I think that's a little quick for God of War. It would basically mean a bit over 3 years development time, because that came out in 2018. So you'd have, 19, 20, 21, because I doubt that God of War got super deep in production like as immediately after God of War came out. I'm sure that they started, prototyping, and I'm sure they started forming ideas around the sequel basically quickly after God of War came out. But I doubt that was like super, super, super heavy into production until late 2018 or early 2019. It was probably more conceptual before that. So it's possible that they got that game out in 3 years, but I'm going to say no, especially because I think the scale the next God of War is going to be at, I think it's going to be huge from what the ending teased. So I think that's going to be a 2022 game personally. But that's just a guess. They could be further along than what I'm expecting. Nur here, Knurr, hope I pronounced that right. Asking, whoops, sorry. Just missed your question. Let me get to it. Do I think we will see Horizon gameplay at the PlayStation 5 showcase? Ooh, 2021 game. I'm going to say yes. I think we do. Or at the very least, I think we'll see a new trailer. I'd be surprised if they don't show anything about Horizon. Now, they don't have to, but considering that's a 2021 game, that's not that far, right? I mean, 2021's only next year. So I'd be surprised if, yes, they just showed that game at the PlayStation Showcase a few months ago, but I think we will see some sort of update on that, yes. Especially because, to me, that's the first truly flagship game launching on PlayStation 5 from Sony Worldwide Studios. And what I mean by that, Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to be giant, right? It's going to be huge, but we know that that's a smaller scale. It's not a DLC like you see some people say, but it's also not Spider-Man 2, right? It's not some big giant it's not the full sequel to Spider-Man 2018. Ratchet & Clank is going to do really, really well. I think it's going to be the best-selling Ratchet & Clank game ever. But it's not going to be, I don't believe, up into that Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon territory, right? Horizon, I think, is going to be that game that on PlayStation 5 comes out that is a juggernaut. It's that first huge juggernaut release from Sony Worldwide Studios. So, yeah, I think that they're going to want to hype that up. So I guess we see Horizon something. Whether that's a full long gameplay snippet or just a new trailer, I do think we see something, yeah. I think we got a super chat here. Let me hit that super chat. Kellegrim with another. I think that's like your 4th super chat. Thank you so much, Kellegrim. Do we see a UI reveal tomorrow? Ooh. Split End wanted to know and think it got cut off. Oh, sorry, Split End. Like I said, a chunk of my chat got cut off. So thank you to Kellegrim. Thank you to Split End. I'm so sorry, Split End. My chat is all jacked up today. Do I think we see a UI reveal? Yeah, we're so close to launch. I don't know if it's going to be like an in-depth thing, right? I don't know if Sony's going to take 10 minutes or 5 minutes even of this showcase to like sit there and really show you every single detail of the UI, but we're so close now. I could easily see them just showing a really quick, we're talking like, a 1 or 2 minute really quick scrolling through just to show you what the UI looks like and what's different about it. I think I could see that because, like I said, I think the real purpose of this showcase is going to be setting up that PlayStation 5 launch. I think that's the real focus, getting people ready that are going to be coming in November and December and January buying these consoles. I really think this is to hype up those people and get them ready for that launch. So yes, I do think we'll probably see some sort of brief UI overview. All right, let's hit a few more free questions here for the next 10 minutes. Let's hit a few more questions. All right, where did I leave off? Here we go. John Mata the second here. What's lifetime sales of Bloodborne? That'll give you an idea. I believe the last number I saw on Bloodborne was over 5 million. Be higher than that though. Because that was a while back I saw that. So I could be out of the loop on a newer number, but I think Bloodborne hit over 5 million at one point. Ryan Thompson, Harry Potter reveal tomorrow, question mark. WB Avalanche just got verified on Twitter. Timing is interesting. Oh, that is interesting, Ryan. I wasn't expecting Harry Potter here. That would be big though, right? That would be a huge announcement. Like, I know there's a whole bunch of drama going on right now with the author of that and some of our stances. My goodness. And there's been a whole bunch going on with that. But at the end of the day, Harry Potter as a brand is still gigantic. I mean, it's huge. It's one of the biggest IP in the world. I'm still really excited for the Harry Potter game. That would be a massive announcement, Ryan Thompson. I was not thinking it was going to be there, but that timing is interesting that you mentioned that WB Avalanche just got verified. It doesn't mean anything necessarily, but you do see a lot of times Twitter verify something right around a big event. Right? It's not uncommon actually at all that you see that, not just in video games, in anything, right? When cars are going to be announced or when things like that, you see a lot of that verification get announced right around there. So it is possible, Ryan. I'm not going to say it's a lock, but that would be big. Yeah, that would be a very big announcement. Assaults. Benji, how much do you think Spider-Man Miles Morales will sell? Over 10 million, for sure. For sure, over 10 million units. Whether it can hit 15 million units, I'm not sure. You know, I bet Spider-Man is getting close to 20 million now. It's got to be getting pretty darn close if it's not already there. You know, Spider-Man 2018, it got to be getting close or at 20 million. 15 seems a little tough to me because, like I mentioned, this does look awesome, but it's not the true Spider-Man 2. It's possible, but I'm going to say no. I'm going to just say over 10 million. I do think it's going to sell over 10 million units, though, yeah. Jose saying Bloodborne didn't even sell 3 million. I actually believe that that is not currently accurate. I believe it is over that. At one point, that was a rumored and reported number, but things I've heard say it's actually 5 million. But I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but that is what I've heard. Mr. Vinsanity 15. Which do you think is more likely? A $50 or $100 difference between PS5 digital and standard editions? I'm going big, and I'm saying $100 difference. Now, that is a bit of a gamble, right? Saying that there's going to be a $100 difference between the two SKUs, but that's the direction that I'm leaning for a very big reason. I think $50 difference doesn't entice consumers that much to go digital. And make no mistake, if Sony just could choose, right? If they just had their choice, they would want to sell more digital consoles than the disc console, because the digital console long run is going to make them way more money than someone buying a disc console. And of course you can still buy digital on that, but you know that if you're going out and buying a disc console, you're going to be buying some discs as well. You know, Sony wants as many digital sales as possible because the profit margins are so much higher on a digital game than a physical. You're dodging all of the production costs, right? Any production costs of making the disc, of manufacturing the casings, of shipping it to stores, all of that's cut out. You're cutting out the retailer cut, which the retailer cut's not a giant amount, but there is money there, right? So for GameStop and Target and Walmart and Best Buy, there is a retailer cut, so they take a cut there as well. You're getting rid of that cut completely. So you're making a lot more money overall on a digital game than a physical. So I think they really want to entice people into buying that digital console. Yes, they would take a loss cutting $100 off of it, but I'm going to be bold. I'm going to guess $100 difference there, but I could be wrong. They could go conservative and go 50. Making them the same price would be a giant mistake in my opinion. I would not go that route. I would not make them the same price at all. There needs to be a price difference. All right, we got 5 minutes left of questions. Madi's saying it's awesome that Astro's Playroom is installed on PS5. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Having a game already installed on there is sweet. Obviously, it's not going to be some like 30-hour game, but it is very cool that everyone's going to have some sort of game right out of the box to play. I do like that. Yep, I agree. That is a very cool little thing there. All right, let me just get a couple more questions. Oh, we just had a super chat drop. Forzathon, thank you for the super chat. Coming in right at the end with a super chat. Which sells more at launch and then overall? Xbox Series X or Xbox Series S? Also, how much of those sales will be from Xbox All Access? This is a great question, Forzathon, and I'll tell you what. One that is trickier than it sounds to answer because we have no idea how either of these are going to sell or how many are going to be manufactured, right? Because that's going to play a very key component, especially early on, is how many of each of these Microsoft is making. Here's what I'll say, Forzathon. I think early on, and this is, like I said, this is tough. Honestly, someone could feel the exact opposite about me, exact opposite topic on this, exact opposite of me on this topic. There we go. And I would totally understand that viewpoint. I'm going to say Series X early sells better than Series S. Microsoft has just, marketed the heck out of Series X for basically a year now. The early adopters are traditionally those really hardcore gamers. I think you're going to see this holiday Series X over S, personally. I really do genuinely think that. Long term, though, I could see Series S selling more. Yeah, that would not shock me at all. At that price range, keep in mind, that means like during holidays after this holiday, when it's less of your super hardcore buying in, when it's more your casual gamers and people that pick up consoles after a couple of years, then you're going to see Series S sell a ton. I think you're going to see it sell a ton. So long term, I could see Series S selling more than X. I think this holiday in particular, though, you see X sell more. In regards to how much is going to be sold with All Access, I'll tell you what, I think a lot. I think a lot because think about it. This is a whole new ball game here, what we're seeing with how many retailers are supporting this. Xbox All Access has been around for quite a while, but it's been like a really limited thing, right? You could only get it at certain places, the Microsoft Store, stuff like this. Now you're seeing it everywhere. In the US, GameStop's doing it, Target's doing it, Best Buy's doing it. I mean, tons of the biggest retailers in America are doing it, and you're also seeing it at many more markets than All Access has been in the past. So I don't want to break down like an exact percentage on that because, I mean, who knows? But it's going to be a chunk. Yeah, you're going to see a chunk of people buy their consoles this way. That was a great move by Microsoft to introduce that. All right, let me hit 2 questions. I'm going to get 2 questions, and then we're going to end chat. I'm going to give JCat here one because JCat is always so awesome, and it's a great question. Benji-Sales, your predictions for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity sales. Big. it is going to utterly crush the sales of the last Hyrule Warriors. And there's a key component in that. That is how big Breath of the Wild is. So this came out of NPD. To go back to NPD, one of the topics of today's chat. This is a really great point here that was pulled out. Zelda Breath of the Wild was the 6th best-selling game of August on Switch. It is ranked in the top 7 bestsellers on Switch for 42 consecutive months, and it is the 10th best-selling game on Nintendo platforms in U.S. history. Now, Age of Calamity, as we know, it is not a traditional Zelda, right? So I think it's unrealistic to look at that kind of sales data and expect Age of Calamity to perform anywhere like that. But it being directly tied into the Breath of the Wild storyline is huge. Expect Nintendo to push that hard this holiday. Their messaging is going to be to everyone, the tens of millions of people that have played Breath of the Wild, here's the prequel, here's the story, here's, all of that extra stuff. They've really, even in the first trailer, amped that up. So I think you're going to see this definitely sell over 5 million, even potentially hit that 10 million range, potentially, long term, not this holiday. But if it's good, I could see that. I don't want to say it's a lock. I definitely think you're going to see over 5. I think under 5 is just a completely unrealistic expectation from anyone. No one should expect this to sell under 5 million units. It's the flagship holiday game from Nintendo. It's directly tied into the biggest Zelda of all time. Put it this way, it would surprise me more than any other thing I've seen this year, positively or negatively, if this sold under 5 million units. That would make no sense to me. None. So, yeah, really, really big. All right, one last question. I'm sorry I can't hit more, everyone. I'm really sorry. We had 3 super chats coming right at the end. Let me hit these super chats and we're going to close up shop just because I have to go to work. I'm sorry. I know I missed a bunch of questions, but I got to go to work. Timmer here with a super chat right at the end saying, keep up the great work. Thank you, Timmer. You keep up the great work as well. Always being awesome. Matt Duffy with a super chat here right at the end. Saying, hope you get to relax and enjoy Colby versus Woodley this weekend. God bless. Thank you, Matt Duffy. To tie this back into sales, all of my UFC fans out there that love UFC like I do, that love MMA, like I said, UFC 4 was the biggest launch ever for UFC EA games. So you're going to see more of those for sure. My prediction for Colby versus Woodley, I'm going to go Colby, but I hope I'm wrong. I think Woodley just hasn't looked the same recently to me. He looks definitely like he is slowing down. Woodley's not as young as he used to be. And Colby just puts on such an aggressive pace. I think he's going to wear Tyron out and win. I hope I'm wrong. I'm rooting for Tyron Woodley, but I think Colby Covington gets him. And a last super chat here from Forzathon saying, Sony has denied the Bloomberg report. That's huge. Holy cow, y'all. Holy cow, that changes everything. Wow, that changes everything. That's some breaking news on the live chat, right? I don't know if we've had breaking news like this happen before, right smack dab in the middle of the chat, so I have to address this, right? I can't just close the chat without talking about this. Okay. So Sony denying the Bloomberg report is big. Big, that's great. That is great thing to hear. Okay, so if they really are going to hit a 15 million forecast, that changes everything, y'all. 4 million more units? That's a lot of units by the end of March. 4 million additional units. Game changer. So this is great news for Sony. If this is all accurate, they really are going to hit that 15 million forecast. It's great news for them. That makes sure that it's great news for consumers, right? So for people like me, people like you, an additional 4 million units coming is going to make shortages a lot less intense. So great news to hear in regards to that. And then my final thought on it is going to be that's also great news because the key component of them saying that they were going to miss the forecast was due to SoC issues, right? It was that they were getting as many as 50% of their chips not being quality for the PlayStation. So that means they were throwing out supposedly a lot of chips. So this makes me think that that's probably not true, because that was like a core component of this forecast change. So if that's not true, that also means that everyone should be a lot more confident in the build quality of the PlayStation 5 and shouldn't be worried necessarily that you're going to see some potential major hardware issues. So that's great. That's great to hear. All right, everyone. That is awesome. Thank you for another amazing live chat. I'm sorry there were so many issues with chat today. Thank you, everyone who makes this chat possible. It's literally my favorite thing I do. If you like doing these chats, make sure you subscribe to my channel. We do 1 to 2 of these a week. Everyone, I am going to be back tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to have a live reaction to the PlayStation 5 showcase, and then we're going to have that wrap-up show right afterwards. Hit that like button, everyone, if you want other people to discover the channel, to discover the chat, so we can keep making these chats bigger. Thanks again, everyone. Stay safe. Play some games. I'm sorry if I missed your question, but I have to go to work, and I will see everyone tomorrow, okay? I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a great one, everyone. Bye.